What's going on, everybody? Welcome to an off the record exclusive. It is August 20th, 2026. We are live, and I am joined by Chris Scafario, the CEO and president of DVIRC. Chris, you've got a book coming up. Talk to me about the book and what's going on with U.S. manufacturing.
So great to be here. Thanks for your time. Strength is Manufactured is a really exciting tale of America's manufacturing resurgence. It's time to sing it from the rooftops. Manufacturing is back. It is urgent to fuel our national economy. It's urgent to drive our nation's security. And it's a best kept secret, Brian. The book is about getting the message out, talking about all the industries that can make future generations of workforce have incredible careers, turn our region around, and just get our country back to doing the amazing work of producing goods that will innovate and make the world a better place. So the book is filled with that kind of content.
And why is it urgent right now? Why not this book last year? Why not next year? Why right now?
There is such energy around manufacturing, but there's also a lot of skeptics that say, "Oh, it's fake news. It's not real." It's real, Brian, and there are hundreds of thousands of jobs that need to get filled. There are work places around the country, in Philadelphia in particular. There's thousands of open positions. People need to learn how to produce the goods that make our nation strong and make it great. So we got to get that message out. We have to drive awareness from educators to our political representatives. Manufacturing jobs are great jobs. Being able to produce medicine, ships, communications devices, and even robots in this country is absolutely critical. And if we get further behind than we are right now, we're going to be in a lot of trouble.
Mm-hmm. And before we go farther, some folks might just be getting to know you and DVIRC right now. Explain to people watching what DVIRC actually is.
So DVIRC originally was founded as the Delaware Valley Industrial Resource Center. We've been part of a statewide industrial resource center network since 1988. And for almost as many years, we've been part of a national network called the Manufacturing Extension Partnership. Our mission has always been simple: accelerate manufacturing competitiveness. How you execute on that has changed a lot over almost 40 years, from talking about how to improve operations and build in efficiencies, get first-time quality out the door, to now it's modernization. It's looking at an environment and seeing there's 8 or 10 or 20 open positions and figuring out what kind of talent can we bring in that can utilize technology to really build out efficiency. So we spend all our day looking at critical supply chains, building opportunities for manufacturers to kind of enter into a new high growth, high margin market. And then we build roadmaps to figure out, okay, how can you do this? We understand there's some gaps, but if you're willing, how can we make you able?
Mm-hmm. So I have a copy of your book manuscript, and one of the most fascinating chapters is the chapter on this maritime resurgence and shipbuilding coming back to America. And there's a lot to unpack there, so we don't have to tackle it all at once. But Chris, I mean, why is that such a big focus, not only of your book, but also in this manufacturing resurgence that you've made your life's work?
So I'll start by a fact, and it's a hard fact. It's one that's a little scary to process. If you looked at every single ship that was produced since 1946 to 2026 in the United States, that would not match China's throughput in shipbuilding in just 2025 alone. So in 1 year, China made more ships than we've been able to produce since the end of World War II. Our maritime industrial base has all but gone away. And since the days of the Roman Empire, the nations that had strong shipbuilding capabilities were the ones that had strong trade relationships, strong presence across the world. If we trade that critical industrial base and give it up, we will never get it back. So we are spending so much time in the city of Philadelphia and across Pennsylvania trying to rebuild and modernize our industrial base. Why Pennsylvania? Believe it or not, one of the most significant reinvestments in the Navy's fleet is related to the Columbia and Virginia class submarine program. The state of Pennsylvania is responsible for producing upwards of 1/3 of that of those two programs' supply chains. It's a multi-billion-dollar, multi-decade economic opportunity that enables us to really build out a stronger ecosystem, fuel manufacturing growth, create jobs, and prove that Pennsylvania and Philadelphia is open for business when you're talking about manufacturing, when you're talking about the defense industrial base, and everything related to America's critical infrastructure. If it can get manufactured and it's important to our nation's future, it can get done in our region.
Mm-hmm. And to go in further depth, I mean, it's not just a strategic advantage. The U.S. is committed to shipbuilding. We have AUKUS, where I mean, really need to put pedal to the metal to just fulfill our obligation. That's my understanding. Chris, can you break that down a little bit for people who aren't familiar with AUKUS
Sure.
and why it's not just a nice to have, the shipbuilding mission, but it's a need to have. We are obligated to have it, and it's completely to our advantage to have it, in my opinion.
Yes, and I would even add, it's something that both sides of our political spectrum agree is urgent, right? We know that we need to be able to build ships. We know that we need to be able to have a Navy, have a commercial fleet. So, using that as a test model to figure out where can we put new technologies in? Where can we pull in our academic partners, our economic development partners? How can we introduce new curriculum, new forms of training young people and people from the sidelines on skilled careers? Maritime is just one test bed that can prove out how we can transfer these programs, these types of resources into the other areas like the power grid, like our life science industry. We really need to mobilize thousands of people pretty quickly to get them involved and engaged in some form of the manufacturing supply chain.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really critical beyond just the surface level. It is a call to action when we look at the recapitalization of one particular industry. It's driving a call to action across our country, in our region, that we have to start building things again here and get really good at it so that we are the undisputed leaders in whatever critical industry we're talking about at a given moment.
Mm-hmm. And back to AUKUS. So I literally just pulled up the Wikipedia just so I can read off and kind of define it for folks listening. So it's a trilateral security partnership between Australia, the UK, and the United States. Stated goals are to promote a free and open Indo-Pacific that is secure and stable. Chris, what's our obligation there? And are we meeting that obligation?
We're doing our best to meet that obligation. We have incredible partners, and the benchmark here is that we are putting the latest and greatest technology and resources and trust into our UK and Australian friends, right? Our dear friends. We're giving them access to Virginia class submarines so that their sailors can protect their nation's sovereignty and really the very important missions of freedom across the country. We are giving them access to some of the fiercest, most technologically advanced warcraft that has ever been conceived. And we're showing them how to maintain and ultimately produce these technologies. First of its kind type of partnership. It didn't happen in World War II. It didn't happen in any other conflict. And here we are in a new day, in a new age, sharing these resources with our dear partners and working to accelerate the ability to build these ships. We can't build them fast enough, Brian, because there is an ever increasing demand to get these mobilized. A lot of people are worried about what's going to happen to Taiwan with China's aggression in the next couple of years. And we need to be prepared to help ultimately develop a deterrent, something that's going to be just scary enough to prevent some bad actors from, doing some pretty scary things.
Mm-hmm. Now let's bring it back to Philly. You're a Philly guy. I'm a Philly guy. The Navy Yard is getting a lot of attention right now. We're seeing major dollars flowing into the Navy Yard. Folks from all around want to get in on the action. We've got a governor who is praising and helping to support everything going on at the Navy Yard. We've got a mayor here in Philadelphia who talks about the Navy Yard more than any mayor in my lifetime has ever talked about the Navy Yard. You're based in the Navy Yard. I mean, you are right at the core of the action. Tell me about the Navy Yard and its role in this grander national vision that you just laid out.
Well, I really believe that the Philadelphia Navy Yard is the heart and soul of manufacturing innovation, revitalization. And I don't think I would be wrong to kind of point out why, right? We had folks like Jamie Dimon come down here and invest handsomely in our region and in this maritime modernization. So all of the resources behind JP Morgan Chase believe in our region. Senator McCormick believes in what we can do here in Philadelphia. Mayor Parker believes, I mean, she's gone on record several times now saying we are meds, eds, and maritime. It is a hot topic. And when you're able to see a place like the Navy Yard every month, see more and more, it might be a little bit of a pain on the way out when you're trying to drive home, but when you see more and more and more cars showing up here, reporting for duty, working great jobs, making just a huge impact for our region, it's like a magnet. You mentioned the AUKUS group a moment ago. We've had delegations from Australia and the UK come here, looking to understand what we're doing, how we're doing it, and wanting to be a part of it. So, in the weeks and months ahead, you're going to continue to see and hear major investments coming to the Navy Yard to support innovation in manufacturing, to support our defense industrial base, life sciences, the stuff that has really helped keep Philadelphia relevant to the world around us is going to be a force multiplier for years to come.
Mm-hmm. Talk to me about some of the other industries within manufacturing where you see opportunity. You made a very fascinating case for maritime. Where else? I know you grew up in the beverage business.
Yep.
You know that one well. Philly, we love our beverages. Talk to me though, Philly and nationwide, where you see the most opportunity. And Chris, I'm going to layer something in there too, because if you turn on certain TV networks or read certain papers, manufacturing's dead. It's a lost cause. We ship everything. We import everything. That's the way it is. That's the way it's always going to be. That's the narrative that you hear. Chris, talk to me about the other side.
You can't have innovations without manufacturing, right? So the next food product, the next big thing from a technology standpoint, most of the time it's going to have to rely early on a domestic manufacturer to get it up to scale. So there's no denying that America is a great innovator, and now there is so much new attention being put into supporting supply chains to build what we're developing and designing. Even Apple is a great example of some of the major investments in their most advanced computing technologies. It's being built here, and there's more of that to come. In our region, we do have an incredibly vibrant food economy. We have some incredible brands. We have some incredible employers that are these manufacturers that have become just the benchmark for world-class career launch pads. So whether you're talking about Hers or Wawa or even Liberty Coke, they're incredible. Lavazza, they're all companies in our region that are doing amazing things to make manufacturing careers exciting for their workforce and sticky, meaning that they're not going to just decide, I want to go do, I don't like manufacturing, I'm going to go drive for Uber or Lyft, right? So they're creating the stickiness. You have more firms in the life science space that are solving some of the world's most complex problems around diseases, and things like that are getting done every day in Philadelphia, whether you're talking about University City and the startups around the Science Center, or the businesses that are growing right down the street from us at the Navy Yard. There is raw energy. Speaking of energy, the amount of attention that is coming to our region around small modular reactors, being able to do disruptive things that only the US can do to get clean, efficient, and safe power to the changing needs of our nation's infrastructure. The last thing I would say for manufacturing, and this is the one that's going to get the kids that are 8, 9, 10, and maybe even 18 or 80 excited, the space industrial base. Brian, it is going to be $1 trillion plus economy before we know it, within the next decade.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that almost nobody really talks about. I think the big saving grace for this whole conversation is watching what happens with SpaceX and the early valuations when it went to market. People think it's a technology company, and they're right. But guess what? That technology needs to be able to be relevant. It needs an industrial base. And they are doing a great job to really put America generations ahead of our nearest rival in being able to produce the latest, greatest space technologies. And much of what goes into any SpaceX product is reliant on a network, a robust network of small and mid-sized manufacturers. So it is a daisy chain effect of growth, of strengthening of our industrial base, and ultimately more economic prosperity for a great country.
Mm-hmm. And let's stay on the space economy too. Last month I had Ross Gerber on. Ross Gerber is his claim to fame being a big Tesla investor. He was early to the game and he won on that game. He's had a little bit of a love-hate relationship with Mr. Musk, Elon. It's a lot of us do, Listen, Elon is a character, 100%. But he is also one of the most impactful people on the planet right now. And he doesn't just want to be the most impactful person on this planet. He's got other planets in mind, yes, too. Now, back to what Pennsylvania is doing in the energy space. One of Elon's goals, visions, is continuing to launch these orbital data centers. Ross and I, when we talked about it last week, he said it's great in concept, very expensive to make happen. When you look at some unused farmland in certain regions or whatnot, way less expensive to do. And Chris, I'm not asking you to pick one or the other or whatnot. Clearly, we need data centers somewhere. Chris, where do you see data center innovation? Is it going to go up into orbit anytime soon?
The way I see the whole conversation, Brian, is, imagine we're going back in time 100 years ago, and we were talking about transportation. And imagine you asking the question, should we be investing in being able to move ourselves from one point to another by air or by ground? Well, the answer back then would have been the same as today. We have to do both, right? We have to look at disruptive, kind of far outside the conventional ways of solving a very, very, very complex problem, not just from being able to build the things, but there's a lot of not in my backyard barriers that we need to overcome. So let's explore what can get done in low Earth orbit or in space, right? Let's figure out, can it really practically be configured there? And then how do we rapidly provide the ground-based grid support that we need to fuel data centers and other, we need more foundries in this country to be able to produce chips, to produce ships. They all need power. So how do we figure out how to put the pedal down and have a terrestrial program to power up our American future? It is a critical subject matter. And I'll just stop my rant after I make one more kind of startling observation. When we started to look at the grid and talking to some OEMs that were supplying components like transformers and just supporting elements to our electrical infrastructure, it wasn't uncommon to hear delays that were somewhere in the 8, 10, 12-month cycle, which seemed pretty severe at the time. It takes 12 months to build a transformer. That's a long time. Suppose, a catastrophe happens. From what I'm reading and hearing, it's several multiples of that now. So it's anywhere from 2 to 5 years. Well, that's not good. We're going backwards, right? Because the demand is so much, we can't produce. So, going back to how do we solve that problem, part of what we're doing is reverse engineering the different systems and components and trying to pull manufacturers, the small guys, together to design solutions to get that grid going and make that energy much more accessible faster. So 2 exciting paths in the woods. One's a little more of a further stretch. The other is going to take a lot of hard work, but both are absolutely necessary.
Mm-hmm. So, Chris, let's. This is a perfect pivot right into your upcoming event, Reimagine Manufacturing 2026. I looked at the speakers list and holy moly! I mean, this is. Chris, I'll let you talk about it. I've got the speaker list in front of me. I know you're still adding more. Talk to me about this event, what it means to the conversation we had. The whole conversation that we've had so far is looking at manufacturing right now and all the opportunity ahead. I feel like that's the main theme of this upcoming summit that you're hosting.
It is a future-focused event. It's not without its element of showmanship. We have to get people excited and eager to talk about manufacturing. So we need to make it exciting. How do we do that? There's going to be an element of maybe a little shock and awe. We're going to have a really transparent conversation around America's vulnerabilities in critical industries. We're going to look at the threat that open source AI models coming in from China and other parts of the world, as tempting as they are because they're cheap, the disruption that they can have to things like intellectual properties and just all sorts of national security issues. That's a real threat. So how do we balance this global trade environment and open source thinking with our national security and ability to protect our own intellectual properties? That's going to be a big part of it. And then bringing in leaders from organizations like SpaceX that have needed to figure out how to innovate and solve the impossible problems. Hopefully they're going to be motivators. The other aspect is the connectivity of some of the most brilliant, well-connected, thoughtful people in our region, bringing them together, having panel discussions, talking about, one of the goals for DVIRC in the next 2 to 3 years is to bring in 9 figures worth of new investments to our industrial base. And we're well on our way to that, but I can't do this as a sole proprietor. We need many, many more folks figuring out, once these investments are here, how do we execute? How do we get the right people interested in the right careers, pulling in the right technology? How do we get more players like JP Morgan involved in financing some of this industrial growth? The October 9th event is a convening. It is a high energy, high stakes. Let's have a discussion around what we need to get done. And by the way, let me tell you why Philadelphia is one of the best places in the world to get this mission done.
Yep. Amazing. Talk to me a little bit about the speakers too. Again, I've got it pulled up. I can talk about them, but
Well, who comes to mind? I mean, you got the list in front of you.
yeah,
Which
I mean Gordon Chang, author of the Red Plan. We touched on a lot of his core thesis early on when we talked about AUKUS and everything going on. You know, the Battle of the Seas, and we talked about space exploration. The oceans are some of the most unexplored terrain that we have. I don't think people can comprehend how vast the oceans are, and that's important to understand when we discuss, you know, the idea of having a real maritime presence
yeah.
with the U.S. and our allies. We, you know, and I've got my own opinions. I'm not going to interject my opinions, but Chris, having Gordon there, and I believe he's a keynote at the event.
He is one of the keynotes, yes.
Yeah.
So, you know, you're hitting on such an important topic, but I would estimate in the high 90 percentile of Americans really don't understand the role of trade routes. They come up like with the conflict in Iran. You know, we see what can happen when a trade route is compromised. But, you know, months ago when Greenland was a trade route that was in kind of the news cycles a lot, people didn't understand why is it so important. It's not that we need more real estate per se as a nation. It's we need access to safe, secure trade routes to be able to move our goods and services, move our sailors and our soldiers from one point of the world to another. And we can't have them overtaken by bullies or bad actors. So having free and safe trade routes that are navigable by, you know, our world neighbors, our global neighbors is critical. And going back to that maritime thing, we don't have icebreakers. We don't have the fleet we need to maintain those routes. So, you know, Gordon's going to call out some of the things that China has been doing kind of secretly. Maybe in some circles, it's common knowledge, but being able to see and talk about how one nation taking over one particular trade route or a whole system of rare earth minerals, what that really means to our ability to communicate, right? From walkie-talkies to state-of-the-art computers. If we don't have access to the rare earth minerals that are needed to build those products, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. And for some reason, for far too long, we haven't had that discussion. And I think Gordon's going to be an incredible catalyst to getting people maybe a little scared, maybe a little angry, but very, very committed to solving the problems that we're facing.
Yep. Reimagine Manufacturing 2026, October 9th, 2026, Arlen Specter U.S. Squash Center. That's in University City, 25 North 33rd Street, Philadelphia, PA. For anybody listening who wants to go, how do they go? How do they register?
You can go to reimaginemanufacturing.com or dvrc.org and sign up. There's some great group discounts. You'll see the whole speaker lineup, and we have some great swag to make the event pretty memorable. So show up, be active, learn more online, and we hope to see you there.
And before we wrap, quick rapid fire. Chris, what is your favorite Philly food spot?
One of the great things about moving to the Navy Yard is the fact that Angelo's delivers pizza, and we eat a lot of pizza here at the Admiral's quarters at the Navy Yard. So it is awesome to have some of the best pizza this side of Italy at our beck and call.
And favorite Philadelphia music artist? I'm putting you on the spot now. You got to pick one. No hedging. Own it and commit.
Can we go to like the days when maybe like David Bowie recorded in Philly? Can we make him like an honorary son?
I would love to make him an honorary son. Yeah, I'll take that.
All right.
And last one, favorite movie set in the city of brotherly love.
Oh, I don't think I could. I always like to say that we're a city of grit looking for growth. And I couldn't have that mindset if I didn't say Rocky right now,
There we
right? I mean,
go.
we just got, and I'm talking about the original one, Brian, not any of the subsequent thereafter
Oh,
ones.
I
It's
love I love the thereafters too. But yeah, amazing. Chris Scafario, DVIRC guys. If you heard something you like, go to their website dvirc.org. Check out the upcoming event, October 9th. Look for Chris's book dropping next month. And I have an announcement for myself. My own book is going to be dropping in on September 1st. And I have an amazing panel set up for next month's episode. A lot of great, brilliant PR minds talking about AI, talking about the PR game, what has changed, what's working. It's going to be a lively one. I hope to see you all there. Chris Scafario, thank you so much. Thanks to
Thanks,
everybody
Jim.
who tuned in.
Take care.